Welcome to the Home Service Expert, where each week, Tommy chats with world-class entrepreneurs and experts in various fields like marketing, sales, hiring, and leadership to find out what's really behind their success in business. Now, your host, the Home Service Millionaire, Tommy Mello.
Hey guys, we're going to give you a little sneak peek of my man Austin Clark here. He owns an awesome pest control company called Moxie. It's going global, isn't it? It's pretty much, how many states is Moxie's franchised in now?
Yeah, Moxie's in about 24 locations today, so in probably about 20 states.
So 20 states. Pest control seems to be an up-and-coming industry. You hear about it all the time. They're getting amazing multiples. He's done acquisitions. He's actually taken over a lot of the operational side of the call center and the bookings. You've done a lot, man. You know what's crazy is I met Austin 2 buildings ago. So, what is that, 5, 6, 7 years ago? I don't know.
Probably close to 10. Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago. So he was in the same parking lot of my second building. The first building was before that, and the building before that, like all of us, was our house. But giving you guys a little sneak peek right now. Check out this episode. You're going to hear about acquisitions, operations, everything he does. What I love about what Moxie does and what Pest Control does is they've got a lifetime value of a client that's much longer than most companies. So swimming pools, pest control. What's another good one?
Landscaping, roofing, you have a lot of HVAC plumbers, electrical on there, and so it's the reoccurring, right? It's the maintenance, and in your guys' language, you talk about service level agreements and warranties, right? And we talk about recurring revenue because it's a maintenance and something that needs to continue to happen every month or every week or every other month or whatever the frequency is.
So you if you had to give, usually I have, the thing is, I know Austin really well, so we didn't have a huge checklist of questions and all the stuff. I know him and I knew what I wanted to ask him to help everybody that's listening right now. So I guess first of all, you've really been successful in the door-to-door to spice up the business. So when did you start your franchise?
Yeah, so Moxie Pest Control of Arizona, it started in 2011. Moxie has been around since the early 2000s, and there's 10 partners. I'm one of 10 partners. Great guys, very competitive guys, very just honored, and it's very cool to work with them and have those relationships. And so we all started in direct sales, knocking on doors, and everyone should do that. Everyone should do that. Because it's terrible, and you should be doing terrible things because it'll build muscle memory and calluses, and so do that. But it's hard. It's very, very difficult, and so we're all very, like I said, competitive. And it's been neat to watch this thing grow over the last decade, 2 decades into what it is. As far as revenues go, we'll do nationally just shy of $100 million this year, and we'll do a little bit more than that next year. And direct sales is a part of our growth strategy. I think we might talk acquisitions a little bit, and some of the more traditional PPC, SEO, some of the things that you're really good at, Tommy. But yeah, direct sales is a beast. It's not for everybody. We don't necessarily recommend it, and that's the business that we're in. We just know our return. And so it's a little more attractive to us, having grown up in that industry, rather than taking a gamble on things that we don't quite know the return. That's a different beast.
I met the guy I told you about, Lenny, a little bit. We tested out door-to-door in the garage door industry, and we did it for a week. And we booked 70 appointments and got our stickers into lots and lots of garage doors. So I might be growing the company, I'd say 20 to 30% of our growth. SEO is awesome. PPC is awesome. Like, I love every type of marketing, but to own the door-to-door, you're creating customers that never existed. And I love that. So I called my cousin Michael in Michigan, and I said, hey, I'm looking into more door-to-door type sales. And he goes, dude, are you kidding me? He goes, I just took chicken off the barbecue, and a guy rolls up in a Segway. He's selling pest control. He had a truck 3 houses down. He said, I just finished your next door neighbor's, Russ. and he used the name. And he said, right now I got chicken on the barbecue. We're just getting ready to eat. He goes, can you come back in an hour? And he goes, the dude sold me $99 right there and did his first spraying. And I'm like, I love that because this stuff still works, you know? And you know, I don't know, you know, we're not going to get too religious here, but obviously it seems like Mormon are door to door. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, these guys will come up to you in a bike and they're very, very good at bringing up. If you could sell religion, you could sell anything. I mean, that's one of the things they say. Don't talk about religion or politics. And, you know, you guys bring a lot of guys in from different areas a lot of the time, and they're Latter-day Saints usually, not all the time. But they're just, I was afraid in Scottsdale, the first 2012, I moved into my neighborhood, and I just decided to go door knocking to invite them over to a party. And you should have seen the reaction. I mean, they looked at me like I'm a clown. They barely pick up, hello, can I help you? And I was like, I cannot imagine what it's like to be door to door. But when you learn the tricks of just, hey, your neighbor over there, we're not here to sell you anything. We just wanted to give you an opportunity. It's just amazing. And that's really the basis of the majority growth of Moxie. Am I right?
I wouldn't say majority. I think that's how the company started, and it's turned into, you know, it's part of the way that we grow now. But there's, you know, the acquisitions, the organic growth, there's a lot of other things that are kind of shaken. But yeah, I mean, since you brought it up, Tommy, the religion, we can talk about that for a minute. That's the other thing that everyone should do. Even if you're not Mormon, you should serve a Mormon mission, because that is also really hard. I did that between 2003 and 2006 in Lisbon, Portugal. And yeah, like Tommy said, if you can do that, you can do anything. And so direct sales is difficult. Selling religion or sharing religion is difficult. And it's a great way to be able to grow and enter a market. And it really is a neat way to meet your customer at their home, your future customer, right? And so you are bringing value immediately to them, whether it's garage door, pest, whatever, right? We're doing free consultations. We did service your neighbor just next door, the next street over, whatever it is, whatever the truth is, right? And, you know, let me share what we did with them. Here's some of the issues in the area. You're big on metrics. We're big on key performance indicators and metrics. And so if you know what problems are and what neighborhoods and what zip codes, it's really easy to be able to go in and say, hey, the ants are really hot here. We've had 100 resurface calls in the last 3 days from our customers. We'd love to be able to help solve that problem. And so it's just about contributing, right, and providing value to your prospect.
You know, years ago, I used to go walk in to, who was the guy that would be coaching, and he would be the call center, and what's his name?
Travis?
No, it was before. Was it? I think it was before Travis. Was it Travis?
Probably not. If it was running the sales crews, we've had a lot of sales managers.
He would walk through the call center. I mean, when I walked in, it was like cube on cube on cube on cube. He had 10 people in a room no bigger than this, but they were all on the phone. It was
Ben.
Yeah. They were all, and I'm telling you, they were all on the phone. They were all smiling. And I remember calling you, and I called Austin, and I said, man, I'm having a hard time getting good CSRs. This had to be 8 years ago. And he said, dude, I don't pay what you would think I pay. I pay a little more than minimum wage, but I've got a line of people that want to work for me. And it's mostly referrals. He goes, look, I built this referral machine, and everybody there was smiling. They were energetic. They were on the phone. And I said, I loved it too, man, because I thought I needed this huge space. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but you've really got some key players. Travis is amazing. So that's another subject too, is we'll go back to marketing, but how important was it to get that key man underneath you, that person that have that drive?
Yeah, you know, Travis he's one of my best friends. He's my right-hand man. He's our director of operations, or COO, if you will.
He's your best friend. I mean, I've met him. He's a go-getter. He's got drive. He's committed. He sees the vision that you laid out, and he's just, in my opinion, he almost seems like a 50-50 partner, like Adam is with me in a way. Even though Adam doesn't have equity, he feels that way. I mean, how did you?
Yeah, you know, and I certainly feel that way about Travis. I feel that he and I are equals in the business. We We complement each other really well. I know that, having a great number two is a really big thing for you. It ought to be a really big thing for everyone listening, because there's no need to do it all, and you're good at what you're good at, and find out what you're good at, and the things that you aren't good at, go find someone else that can complement you. We don't have to do it all. Most people aren't the full package, but Travis is absolutely positively amazing. Before he and I linked up, he spent 10 years in business banking, undergrad from ASU just up the street, master's degree from ASU, incredibly smart, 4.13 GPA. I mean, just sharp as a whip. Anything that he doesn't know how to do, he'll find out how to do it. He's just one of those guys. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was just so sick and tired of running a crappy business. I'm kind of ashamed to say, but we just didn't know what we were doing. We knew how to grow companies. It's never been a problem of ours to grow them. But coming from direct sales, if you're good at that, you can make a good amount of money. And then trading that for ownership, working 4 months out of the year, making a bunch of money, trading that for working 60, 80, 90, the drill, Tommy, and making 40 grand a year. Maybe, if you're lucky, if there's money in the bank to pay you. I just said, Trav, look, man, I'm going to sell this thing. I'm going to dump it and go do something else, or we're going to figure out how to run a business. And so we did. And so we kind of took a break from the growth, and we got passionate and just crazy about operations. And that's really what we're passionate about today. At the time, there was probably 15 franchises or locations across the country. And we started to rise to the top of each one of our scoreboards. You've seen them down at the shop. Profitability, organic growth, whatever it is, right? And me and some of the Moxie partners, we started to put our heads together, and we came up with a model where we could take over or support their operations while these partners scaled their companies. And so now today, if you're one of 40,000 plus customers, 220 direct sales people, 200 service people out in the field, in either San Diego, Orange County, Riverside, Phoenix, Tucson, and Cincinnati or Columbus, all of that workflow flows through our center just down the road from you. And we call it a contact center, right? It's not just a call center. There's a lot of ways people communicate today. But we will have months where we will have over 150,000 contacts from customers or our service people in the field, whether they're texting us or calling us or emailing us or you name it. And so it's been super cool. What it does for the group is it drives the cost of the whole operation down. We charge a cut or a management fee, and then we take that and reinvest it into our company here in Phoenix and grow the company in Phoenix. And so we've learned a lot. We didn't know anything about running a call center at all. And so we got to work Googling, right? We went to conventions. We just figured it out. And that's what you've done. That's what your listeners are doing. And so you need to think so big that you get yourselves into problems and issues and challenges, and then go about tirelessly and relentlessly solving those problems.
Yeah, it's interesting because you hit rock bottom. You're ready to sell. A lot of people have to go through the bottom before they could get to the top. And I've done it. I've always been able to make a lot of money. I just never could keep it for a long time. I didn't have a good CFO. I never knew that profit was important, and you've heard me say it. Revenues for vanity. And everybody, you go to Service Titan, you go to these meetups, you go to Service Roundtable, any of these events, and there's so many of them. And everybody's like, what'd you do last year? How much did you, it's always revenue. Not how much did you take and put away. And I've just really switched, it's a paradigm shift. And Ross, my CFO, he didn't have to do anything but give me the facts. And when the facts are presented in a way that's honest, truthful, and accurate, instead of a yes man hiding things, it's amazing the decisions I was able to make. Close this, do this, fire this guy, promote this guy, get this trainer, let's get this CSR out of here. And all of a sudden it became fun again. I was reborn almost. And this was just a couple years ago. I was, we were hitting 150 grand a day. And I'm like, yeah, 150 G's. Then I look in the bank and I'm like, how do we owe American Express almost $1 million? It got out of control because growth. So I had to hit the pause button like you did and really learned how do I start making a good profit. I had a good company. What's nice about good revenue is you turn a couple dials, you can turn that into good profit.
Bingo.
So people ask me, would you rather be 100 million at 5% or 50 million at 10%? I'd rather be 100 million because I know I can turn some dials really quick. But in most cases, when you're losing money, I don't find that people are making 5% when they get really big. I find that a lot of them are losing. I watch The Profit, I watch Shark Tank, I watch these movies and these shows, and it's like you're losing money. You're not making enough money to spend the marketing dollars and the raw materials, the cost of goods sold, all that stuff. But I love what you said, because you got Travis, you guys worked together, you found the missing pieces, you hired for things that you weren't good at, and that's the number one thing is increase your productivity by filling the voids. You're the visionary, he's the integrator. That's rocket fuel. Yeah. Gino Wickman, just amazing. So we'll switch a couple things here. Talk a little bit about door-to-door. I love when you walk in your office, the contact center, which I love that, instead of the call center. I had a guy the other day that said he gets more text messages the way he does his marketing on social, and they're booking as many SMS messages as regular.
Yeah, you
and
think about
Yelp.
Who's coming into the market, right? It's the millennials. And And this is what, I mean, we're millennials, you know?
Yeah.
And so what do we know, right? It's texting. What does the generation before us know? A phone, we're going to show that to kids here in a minute. They're going to say, what the heck is that? It's all here.
Yeah, so you're right. It's a contact center. So you walk in to Austin's place, and that's a good subject, but it's all monitors, big monitors with KPIs. And he's always inspecting everything, and they've got a whole system, and everybody's there very, very cheery. But you went from a small place to a big place back to a small place. Let's talk about that, because a lot of us, that's the old toothpaste thing. You know, we can make toothpaste last a long time if there's a little bit left, because we start to get frugal with it. Smaller places are easier to manage. Talk to us about that decision.
Yeah, so we started I think this is the third space or so that we've been in. When we started in a small space, didn't need not a lot of money, not a lot of employees, and we just didn't need it. And as we grew, we saw that we needed more space, and so we made that move. And as we started to really dial things in, we kind of simultaneously started to dial operations in and stumble upon remote working at the same time. And so today, we went from a 2,000 square foot space to a 10,000 square foot space to a 2,000 square foot space again. We just did the lease on the one next door, so it's 4,000 here in a minute. But we just found that it was just we were leasing. It was a sunk cost. It wasn't doing anything for us as far as an asset long term, and we decided to put that money to better use in different places and in kind of infrastructure and technology and better people. But remote working, we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. We have 65 or so agents in our contact center. 20 of them work down there physically, or a third, and then the other 2/3 work remotely. And I'm not talking just answering the phone. I have key people. Eleni, my admin manager, for example, she lives in Miami, Florida. That is a key, someone traditionally that you would think would be in the contact center, looking to make sure butts are in seats and that sort of thing. She can do all of that quarterbacking and managing from 3 different time zones and 2,000 miles away, no problem. And so, you think of the gal that does all of my reporting, Leah, Las Vegas, Nevada, not here locally in Phoenix, right? We've got a gal that's one of our leads, works down in Tucson. We've had people that have worked with us from Washington, Hawaii, you name it. And then most of them are here locally, but work in Gilbert, Mesa, wherever they live, right?
How'd you do that? How'd you hire these? Did they move after living here, or how do you market for your internal customers?
So a little bit of both as far as the remote working goes. We had people that were working with us at the physical location already, and when we rolled that program out, they said, "Hey, is that an opportunity for me?" We said, "Sure. Here's the standards. You've done well on your monthly scorecards, right? You know what." You need to have a good environment. We can help provide the equipment, but you need to have an environment that is good. We don't want dogs or barking or kids or whatever. And so that was part of it. This last 12 months, as we've advertised on either Zip or Monster or wherever you get employees, we have made that part of the plug. We want them to do 90 days on site, and then once they're up to speed, it's an option for them to work remotely. Now, just because people are unable or don't work remotely, it doesn't mean that they're not a great fit. It just means that they know themselves, they need to come to work, and then when they leave work, they need to leave work. We have A players that are only A players because they're coming to a physical space. So, when you consider remote working, they need to be very focused, extremely disciplined, but it solves a lot of problems. You think, we've kind of done the math, and it seems to be about a $2 raise without giving them a $2 raise because of gas and insurance and wear and tear and the stress and anxiousness of commuting and in traffic and those kinds of things. And people perform better when they're comfortable. I like it because it can also eliminate an entire level of mid-level managers to say, hey, Tommy, how are your numbers? Hey, Bob, how are your numbers? You can just manage by outcomes. It's just managing by outcomes.
Yeah, performance too.
That's it.
Yeah. I love that because we're doing a lot more hiring outside of the call center, but you're absolutely right, or contact center. What I've noticed is the main people I have that are really, really kicking butt, they can work from home, but there's certain people that can handle homeschool. They can handle internet classes. I personally like the structure of going in. You know what? We're doing this expo for Service Titan right now, and it's like, man, I'd really love to be there. I need to get out of my zone, out of my city, I need to experience. And I'd rather come into work. Through this whole pandemic, I'm like, I don't care, I'm going in. I need to be here. Yeah, I can get some stuff done, but I'm at home. I'm like, this is my time to be at home. And I get on the phone at home a lot. I mean, this guy knows I was on the phone all day last night. But it's true. And I think it's really a good start. So you get 3 months, 90 days they got to work there before they can earn their way out of there.
Yep. And then we want them to be in a position where they can come in at least once a month. We didn't know anything about running an operations center or a contact center, and so we called up GoDaddy, one of the largest contact centers in the world, and arranged a tour there, and they taught us a lot of things. We went to the ICMI or CCW convention. They're nerd conferences is what my wife calls them, but they're for running contact centers and remote working, and so we went and got that education. We figured a few things out, and we're still making a lot of mistakes, but kind of dialing things in each day.
Mistakes are good. Make the mistakes as fast as possible and change them. I love mistakes. I am the biggest mistaker there is. I like what you just said. We found GoDaddy. They gave us a tour. One of the things I always recommend, GoDaddy's in Phoenix, but I recommend getting out of your comfort zone, visit the places. If you don't have a very, very engraved vision, I mean, it's like you can see it, you can smell it, you know exactly how it looks. Go find the biggest and best of what that is. Get out of your comfort zone and bring a pad of paper and ask questions. And just say, well, and here's the big secret. Peel back the onion. Say, well, what makes you say that, Austin? And then when they say that, say, oh my gosh, really? Well, why is that? And as you start peeling it back, all of a sudden you get to the root and you're like, wow. Now and then it brings it 360. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, I wouldn't be where I am unless I really got obsessed with HVAC. Do I want to do HVAC? No. Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry does HVAC. And you can make a lot of money doing HVAC. But what if you took the principles from one of the top home service industries in the world and applied those to other industries?
Bingo.
What if you took Moxie's and pest control, the door knocking, and applied it to garage doors? What if you took the SEO skills of locksmiths and applied that to chimneys? That's why I'm doing the Facebook page, to get everybody under one umbrella to share what's working in an industry, because what it's all about, I met a guy that does copiers, and he said, I took all my people in the 80s on this trip. He goes, it was all inclusive. He goes, so when I went to Cancun, I was so impressed. All the alcohol, all the food, they gave us these nice things when we showed up at the airport. He goes, but I said, why am I selling copy machines? Why not just rent it out, make it all inclusive, service it, and have per copies? He's a zillionaire. Because he took something from the travel community and applied it to printers. So when we get you on the podcast, when we get these other people on the podcast, they're going, yeah, he's pest control. I have nothing to do with pest control. Do you know how much information these people that are listening, these amazing business owners, can grab from you saying I've got big, then I got small, because I realized I can manage it a lot better when people are closer to one another.
Well,
I've got windows in not this room, but it's important that you know what's going on. Everybody wants an office so they could screw off. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I think what you said there, Tommy, is super important, right? I mean, it's pest garage, whatever, right? It's business principles, and every business deals with employees, right? Strategy, cash or lack of cash, and all of those sorts of things. And so I think the listeners might be shocked to find that if they ask, they'll get answers to those questions. Tom's been a great buddy for a decade, and the ways that he's contributed to me in just, if I was stuck somewhere, hey, Tom, what do you think about this, right? And so I think that it's important that you surround yourself with people that are playing big, that are struggling, that are making a lot of mistakes, like Tommy, like myself. No one's got it figured out. And I think that people would be shocked to find how interested others are in helping contribute to you and your business. I'm always calling people up and bothering people. Hey, I want to have lunch with you. I want to meet you. I want to fly down. I want to, and I'm just kind of annoying about it. And guess what? They say yes, and you meet with them, and they share something with you that will add $500,000 or $1.5 million. And so that's kind of the neat thing about having a community and having a sounding board and having great relationships with people like Tommy or whoever it might be. And don't be afraid to go make those calls and make those relationships. For the first decade of running this company, I think that's one of my biggest regrets is it was just the 90-hour weeks and just, getting the job done. That I wished I had made more friends in my industry along the way. So we're correcting that. We're doing that now. And I would be, one of the biggest, 4 or 5 years ago, one of the biggest players in Arizona in the pest space, called the number that I Googled the name of the company, found the contact number, called. I said, hey, I want to talk to this person. It was just a CSR with a couple hundred people in their call center, right? And they said, yeah, one moment. 2 minutes later, the owner of this large company was on the phone and said, hey, what can I do for you? We hooked up, had lunch, and I mean, just such a neat thing. There's so many people that are ready and willing to contribute to you, whatever your space may be. But don't limit the people that you have contact with to just your space. Go talk to the best in the garage door space if that's not your space, or HVAC, or whatever it is, and you'll learn things.
What's funny is this is years and years ago, but I saw you at a gas station. We're outside a Quick Trip, and you just kind of smiled, and I said, what? And you said, dude, I started doing email marketing, and I picked up, I think you said you emailed 6,000 people, and you just were the ear to ear, and you said, I just picked up a lot of past clients. Just this stupid, easy thing I should have done years ago, and it works. And I had no idea. Because we're sometimes so busy chasing new clients, we forget about the existing ones. We don't create that relationship. Someone asked me yesterday, or this week actually, they said, how often do you call your clients up after 3 months and say, how's the garage door working? I'm like, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Tommy just made $1 million because of that this year, if you listen.
It's the question.
Yeah.
And if you listen, right, you're like, and what people know is, no, that won't work for my industry. No, that's not for me. Joe Polish, have you ever heard the name Joe Polish? He's a Phoenix local. He started rug carpet cleaning company, and it's $25,000 a year to join his 25K. It's a success group. It's a marketing group. And I'm going to probably end up joining it just about the people you meet there. But he's become a master networker by going out and knowing all these people. I mean, a lot of my managers called me yesterday. They're like, all these people know you. I'm like, they've been on my podcast. I'm like, and what's cool is I could go visit them. I could call them. We could go to lunch. We could hang out for 3 days, and they'd love it, and we'd love it. And these guys are excited to show us their secrets that they built, because I'm an open book. Come see what we've done. Actually, sometimes I toot about it just because no one else toots about it. Might as well get some self-gratification out of it. But, it's just fun. When I saw you figured out the email blast, that was awesome. So here's a really cool topic, because I've become obsessed with how growth happens. And I've got my own theory on acquisitions. A guy yesterday I talked to said I really would want to buy the workers. That's what I want. I said, I'm buying the phone calls. The reason I buy a company is because I make amazing people here. We recruit them, we train them, we retain them. But a lot of people need the workers, so they buy a company. But I really want their customer list. I want their website. I want everything to do with marketing and calls. And you've done a lot of you started to get the mindset that acquisitions is the way to go. Tell me a little bit about your theory on acquisitions and how you're going about it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that acquisitions can definitely be part of any company's growth plan. I'm not one to put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put them all in door to door, all in acquisitions, all in. I think that you need to diversify, right? And I think those different ways to improve the top line can be better at some times than others, and so you want to have a couple dozen of them going. But we kind of got into it, I guess it starts before then. I don't think that we would have been in a place or prepared to do acquisitions had we not had the experience of mastering operations, right? No one, I don't think, should sell their company to someone that doesn't have strong marketing, a strong brand, great reputation. You look at your company online, it's incredible. You look at our company online, it's absolutely amazing, right? And so I think that gave us a lot of confidence in being able to say, hey, I think that we could do this and integrate these companies into ours. The first one we did was about 2 years ago. It was totally by accident. We received an anonymous email into our general email database just saying, hey, I have a pest control company for sale. Are you interested? I get one of those a week, and they're usually not what you think they are. It's some sort of marketing, whatever. But this one, I just so happened to reply to it, and we got together, and inside of 90 days, we did a deal. And so we did our first acquisition on March 1st of 2019. And I also, too, don't think that we would have been able to pull these off had we not done, they're certainly not acquisitions, but had we not pulled the 2 markets in California into what we're doing, that gave us a lot of experience. And then we did it with Tucson, and then we did it with San Diego, and then we did it with Columbus and Cincinnati. And so that gave us a lot of experience in databases, integration, and it just gave us a lot of confidence too. And so we'll probably, as far as revenue, we'll double the amount of revenue that we did in acquisitions this year as opposed to last year, and we'll probably double it again next year. And so, once, what they say about acquisitions, once you've done one acquisition, you've done one acquisition. And so they're all different. And I think that the key is to really find out the goals of the owner, operator, or whoever that you're looking to purchase. Years ago, I used to think that people sold companies because they were either quitters or they were giving up or whatever, and that's not the case. People want to retire. People have major health issues. They have something very serious happen in their family, perhaps, that causes them to do that. Maybe they're in financial trouble, right? And so,
or they just want, they've worked, they got it to the peak they could get it to. They want to cash out.
Yeah.
They want a job again.
Yeah.
A job, a 9 to 5.
They want a job again. And so we've had experience in doing a handful of them now, and no acquisition has been the same. Because the goals of that owner have been the same. And we've had opportunities come to the table that we've said no to because we didn't think we could help them fulfill their goals, right? And so if it's not a win for both parties, then it's not a win. You know what I mean? And so there's a variety of ways that you can set those up. You can pay for them all up cash if you want to. I think that's a bad idea. You can do earnouts. You can bring them on as employees. There's just a variety of different ways. But I think if you sought to understand the goals of that owner-operator, you could come up with something creative and together come up with something that would be better than both of you could have imagined if you were just looking at it from your lens and that person were looking at it from theirs. And so they're fun. Those are the things that I like spending some time doing right now.
I talked to you before the podcast, and I think yesterday was all the stars started to align for me because all of a sudden this tax structure I talked about, which I'm not going to go into detail right now, but if it works out correctly, I'm not talking about acquiring 1 or 2 or 3 businesses. I'm talking about a dozen a month. And people say, how is that possible? Well, you got the training center. I can handle up to 70 people a month. And if I bought out 10-person companies, I could easily scale this up to past 100. But the one thing is it needs to be sexy, it needs to be real, and it needs to be better for them. So how do you build something that's amazing for them? Well, everybody gets into business. At the root of the problem is to make a living and make money. Now, what does money do? It gives you freedom, better family time, better fun things to do with the family, comfort. I think a lot of times people really want. I read this in a book, but I think because I'm not the expert of relationships, but women want comfort. They want to know that there's a place. They'd rather. Everybody I've hired says I'd rather take a salary because my wife than commission because it's not stable, even though I can make 3 times as much. And I'm like, dude, you don't want to make that. You don't want $15 an hour. But people will stay at a $600 a week job when they can make $2,000 every single week because they need stability and they need that the safety net,
consistency.
And it's crazy to me. And a lot of times people want to sell, but what's crazy about it is these people, brokers are liars. They say you could get $1 million, but you can't. I've had a lot of people call me up. I'm telling you, Austin, and they say, I've got a book of business. I've done 5 jobs a day for 300 days for the last 20 years. You are the business. I can't make anything off of those old clients. You don't have anything. You don't have a good website. You don't have any good trucks. You've got a lot of old crappy inventory. And it's hard because it's hard to lie to people and say, wow, this is something really special. You worked your butt off and your blood, sweat, and tears went into this, but there's nothing I could give you for this because you've paid yourself $90,000 a year. To replace you, it's going to cost $90,000. I don't want to shatter people's dreams, and they look at me and they think I'm a prick. And I'm really a lot more gentle than that. I'm just like, I'm sorry, this probably isn't a good fit. I mean, unless you got something that's creating a lot of good phone calls of not, warranty work. Where are you getting customers? Well, relationships. Well, when you leave, those relationships kind of go with you. So it's tough. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've ran into ones that you're just like, dude, you're the owner operator. You're doing all the stuff. But if you could just buy the contracts, it makes sense for you too.
Yeah, and it would make sense for you, and it would make sense for anyone listening. I think that the value is in the reoccurring revenue, the warranties in your space, the service level agreements, the we've done deals where we've just bought the purchase or the customer list rather, and that's what I would prefer to do. We've done others where we've done taken over, purchased the vehicles and different things like that. But the one-off stuff, there's not a lot of value. At least in my humble opinion, to me, in that, the emergency work, those are one-off, the bees or the bed bugs, and you can make a bunch of money doing those kinds of things, but we want the reoccurring revenue.
And it really helps you get a better multiple.
Yeah, multiple valuation. Yep.
So, I'm looking at companies, and the first thing I do is I examine their expenses. I don't look necessarily at the opportunities first. First, I say you got a huge warehouse. You're not buying right. I see all these expenses. You've got a guy that worked for you for 30 years that's still just a warehouse guy that's making $110,000 because you moved him up, which he deserves something. When you sell, you should give him something because he built your business. But that position,
but not me.
But it's a $40,000 position. So one of the things I ask people is, you got 90 days to sell, and I had a list. If I got to sell in 90 days, I got to get rid of these 3 people because they've been baggage. I've got to get rid of my dead inventory. I've got to cut this out. I've got to get new iPads. I've got to get the rest of the trucks wrapped. I've got to get a better financial controller. And why not do that stuff today? Yeah. Think of that you were selling your company, but I find so many holes in the expenses. You said you got back down to 2,000 square feet. You're doubling again, but you went from 10,000 to 2,000 now to 4,000 because you learned your lesson. And I find out all these expenses, and I'm like, I can look at a balance sheet or an income statement now, and it's fun because I take a highlighter and I'm like, save, 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 save. I got you up to 10%.
Yep.
Then your booking rate, boom, I'll add 10% there, double the average ticket, sell service agreements, I got you up to 18%. Now the question is, do you want to take this ride with me? Oh, well, I can't let that go, da-da-da-da-da. You're in business, you got an obligation to every single employee to be profitable and to make sure you've got a future, but you're loyal to these 3 people that are losing you money? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with that, and you can tell you're excited about that, but one of the things that I think society, business in particular, doesn't talk enough about is money. I grew up poorer than dirt, wanted to change the way that I grew up at all. I remember my brother and I, when we were 10 and 8, we used to fight. We had bunk beds, and my parents would keep the house to 100 degrees because that's what we could afford, you know what I mean? And we would fight over the fan. We would have it click all the way up and then one click down, and we would fight between those clicks because we want, anyway. And so I said, I'm not doing this. And when I'm old enough to be able to figure this out, I'm going to figure it out. But money is important, and business owners and people should not shy away from talking about it. You need to tell employees the truth about debt, about expenses, about all of those kinds of things, because it's not going to solve itself by sweeping it under the rug or not talking about it. Back to the valuation, though, I had a really, I think people may appreciate this, interesting call. Sometimes we'll have brokerages or private equity groups or whatever interested in purchasing Moxie, which is not in the plans right now, but I take those calls because I want to, and I don't waste their time. I let them know, hey, we're not doing this, but
future, hey, if you're a good partner,
who knows, right?
I take those calls. I've talked to 50 of them.
Yep, a mentor of mine, he said, you know what, yes always means yes, and no always means maybe. And so there you go, right? Just keep after it. But I said, hey, it's not in the cards for us right now, but I'd love to learn from you how you evaluate companies, why. And he said a lot of the same things that you said. He said, you'll want to cut expenses, you'll want to raise prices, you'll want to get people in warranty type services and service level agreements, you'll want to upsell, cross-sell, these sorts of things. And he said, oh yeah, and by the way, Austin, all of those same things that will make you more money one day if you choose to sell are the things that will make you more money right now. If you're going to dump, it's just like you said, in 90 days, if I'm going to sell in 90 days, why didn't you do that a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago? You know what I mean? They're difficult decisions, but make them, and your company will be better off for it. You'll be better off for it. You owe it to your customers. You owe it to your employees. Why are you running a crappy company when you're capable of doing
so much
better
more
than that, right?
Ugh.
And responsible companies are extremely profitable companies, because they'll then take those profits and reinvest it in better people, space,
more
technology, marketing, to expand your reach of accomplishing whatever your purpose is, right? Ours is to improve the quality of life for our customers, team, and community. And so the way that I do that is try to spin off as much cash as we possibly can to reinvest it in them. They have MacBooks that they use. We don't use crappy computers. Why is that? And so we take those profits and reinvest, just like you do, into better people, better technology, better processes, better everything, right? So that we can compete and so that we can contribute to our communities and provide value to our customers and teammates.
I love that. I bought all these used trucks, and I decided it's so much better to buy new. iPads. We got a company taking over the iPads. I got a company professionally outfitting the trucks now. Like, I've learned what I do well as garage doors, and I'm becoming a master. And one of the things is when I go present myself, my company, or someone else presents my company, one of our upper managers, I want to say, I think about it. We beat you, we charge more than you, we offer a better warranty than you, we've got better parts, we buy our guys better tools, our hiring process is better, our vehicles are better, our brand awareness is better. One thing you said earlier, there's 10 guys, and they're all really, really competitive. That is awesome. And I'm competitive. I don't like to lose at anything. Like if you beat me at anything, I want to say, how do I up that stat? How do I compete? And it's important to be competitive. But I'm not competitive anymore with any other garage door company because I can't. They're not. Their expectations are not high enough. The only person I can compete with now is my own company, and continue to better our best because there's no one else left. I look out there and I say, what's your profit? They're like 18%. I asked my CFO. I literally called him up on Monday. And I said, I want you to take every balance sheet, every income statement, every P&L. I want you to research it. I want you to identify how to get to 30%. What does our marketing percentage need to be at? What is our cost of goods sold? What is our rent? How much air conditioning can we afford? I want to know for shits and giggles how to hit 30%. And then I want every single person at the company to understand how to hit that number. If we don't hit that number, I'm not going to be upset, but I want to show everybody what needs to happen to hit that number. There's income and there's savings of operations. So it's hard to do both. And I love this stuff because I'm curious. What did he tell you, that guy? this is going back a minute, but what did he tell you about valuation? Because unfortunately, a lot of the people listening don't understand how their company should be valued. And I'd love to hear your take on valuations, because I've got it down to a science now, but it's different depending on the industry, and you've got repeat customers and contracts. So.
Yeah, for sure. I can speak for, I'll tell you what this gentleman said, and it went back to reoccurring revenue. This was a bigger private equity group, and so they were looking at size. They're not looking to do any acquisitions under $10 million. And so if you are looking to get your company valuated and evaluated, right, you'll just want to consider your goals, and you'll want to find different brokers that could possibly help you with that. Whether you're selling or not, it would be good to understand how you can improve the value of your company. And so what's important to me, higher ticket prices, right? It's valuable to me to look at companies that don't provide all of the services that we provide, because then we can immediately start to provide more value and more service segments to that existing customer base. We like taking employees on, right? The employees are the face of the company, and so we want to bring them on. That's usually a good thing, because if they work at $1 million company and it's a 10-person shop, they're coming on to a much larger company, and so they usually get a raise, they usually get a signing bonus, they usually, they get health care, right, that we contribute to. And so for the employees, I think that it's an easy thing to be able to see, wow, and then they're a part of a much
They
larger...
go into something bigger and better.
Oh, yeah, and then it just raises their sights. They've been doing the thing at this
They're
level.
A players in a C player company.
Yep, exactly.
And you raise them up to an A player company.
Yep. And maybe they start with us as a C player or a B player, but it's really neat to see the ones that are hungry, right, humble and hungry. They get it, and they see that there's growth. And I tell our people all the time, I say, look, my number one problem right now is that we don't have enough capable people to keep up with the work that we're generating. And so bring me your capable friends, bring me your capable family members, please. We did this in a quarterly meeting 2 months ago, and we got 25 referrals and hired about half of them, and it was awesome. It was incredible, right? And they were compensated, and their friends were, and A players aren't referring their C. They aren't.
Referrals, baby. HH, humble and hungry, I thought it stood for happy hour. But
that too.
So I just interviewed a guy for my questions for my new hiring process, which I got to bring you back in here. It's freaking crazy. But he's already got over 15 people to come work for us.
How about that?
And mostly all technicians. And I'm talking some of these. The guy had his first day yesterday. I think he did $6,000 on his first day.
And you're not upset about that, right?
Oh, well, no. I handed him a book in front of the whole. I mean, he sold a lot of doors, but he's learning how to sell doors. And I said, this book, I read a bunch of the book, and I said, this is for you. I gifted him with a book, not a gift card, but go study this book, because if you study this book, it's only going to make you sharper. You're going to have bad days, but the one thing I want you to think in your mind, the mindset, is nobody on this earth could have done better than I did. It doesn't matter how good your ticket was. It doesn't matter conversion rate. You earned that customer's business. You did whatever it took. And I gave a lot of examples is when you fight and you're the only fighter fighting for their business. They can see that and they know it and they want to work with you. And it's so important. I met this guy the other day. I'm just going to switch because we'll close it up here soon. But he wrote the book, The Private Equity Playbook. He's going to be coming on the podcast. And what I've learned about myself is I'm a 6 out of 10 CEO. I'm obsessed with operations. I need at least 2 more years under my belt before I could move to his level. He manages over 2,000 technicians. Never once been in a meeting with a technician. They hired him. The private equity company hired him to 10 times the company. So you know what he's doing all day long? He talks to investors, potential acquisitions, and the dude is like, it's amazing when you learn. There's another realm of business out there. You see, most people listening, a lot of people, if they're like me, they want a job. It's a job. They're a technician, and they think they could have a business. The next level is to become a better leader, build a better culture, get good at operations. There's a level way above there that hopefully the management can handle the day-to-day, and you're working on Because when I buy a company at 3 times and I'm worth 12 times, that because I'm a platform company, I created 4 times of what I just bought. So I spent $300,000, I get 1.2 million valuation. I created $900,000 out of nothing. And that's what's so nice. And the people who understand this concept are dangerous. Dangerous in a good way. They can create money. And it's almost like it's not fair. And I've always said it doesn't make sense to me. How's that fair? But I want to invest in something that's been around a long time, that's guaranteed to make it through recessions. And as we make it through COVID and our companies do well, that's just another notch under our belt to make us more viable. And there's people that have hit rock bottom, and that helps you become better. But the real value is, for me, is you're at a multiple of how much profit you make. Because the profitability in a year, for especially the last 12 months, a rolling 12, is if I said you made $500,000, most companies, I'm not going to pay more than 3 or 4 years to break even. Even if I find a bunch of ways, and people have sat at this very table and said to me, yeah, but you're going to fix all that. So you want me to pay you for what I'm going to fix? You want to be, I'll tell you what I will do, is I'll hire you as an employee, and you can make commissions and some type of performance pay on the way we fix it. But I can't fix you. My price cannot be as I fix you. Because I have the ability to do that, and we're one of very few companies in this industry that can do that. And your companies are going to go to a better place. So what's your philosophy on that when you're looking at somebody and they come up with a number? And you've had a lot of low-hanging fruit. I'm sure that just people just like, hey, you're good. And until you start getting into a few companies a quarter. And you've gotten into it, what, for the last year and a half?
Yeah, last year and a half, 2 years. And, I think that... it just, again, it's back to their goals and just shooting straight with them right out of the gates, right? And if you're not the buyer for them, then you're not the buyer for them, right? People are looking to sell for a reason. If their company was squeaky clean and running like your operation, they're not looking to sell because they're doing fine. You know what I mean? And so you are usually purchasing distressed or broken assets, whether sometimes
not that company buying $10 million companies. See, that's all. It's in recognizing your avatar. See, you're buying that kind of company. See, what I'd love to do, this is an idea right now, spontaneous, no plan. This is just popped in my head. But I'd love to look at a company that's not selling. And I'd love to go to them and sign a non-disclosure agreement and say, I know you. I've studied you. You like to hunt with a bow and arrow. I've studied your social media. I got a gift for you. Let me just... If you play ball with me, I want to design a picture for you that can not only give you a better life, but I want to know what you want out of life first. But imagine if you could create a scenario that gives them a bunch of cash, gives them a bunch of yearly fee, and gives them a bigger structure to make way more money. And that's what Jim Abrams did. Yeah. And that's how he rolled up hundreds of millionaires at one time. They go from city to city to city. And that's the fact that it's been done before is the fact that I know it could be redone and done again. And that's... So I'm just thinking, how could I, without you wanting to sell, give me access and let me paint a picture for you, and if you like what you see, we could talk. But it's hard to get those numbers. So it's kind of nice because you could get a really good company, but when you're really good, what makes a good company a great company? Well, unfortunately, it's the law of numbers that they don't have the buying power, and they can't have the buying power unless they scale throughout the United States. So that's one thing. Better buying power. So I'm paying less for cost of goods sold. Number 2 is you've got, see, a CSR, the person that handles your phone calls, if there's more calls in that hour, there's less downtime. You're getting more output out of them. So the more calls per hour, you don't need as many employees because you're covered. So I feel bad for companies that have 2 CSRs, they can't get to the extra calls, and it doesn't make sense for that company to bring on a 3rd CSR because maybe you'll call them back. But when you've got a big company, you're maximizing. So we look at how much production are we getting out of each hour? How long are they on the phone? What's their booking rate? These KPIs. The law of numbers, I really don't know how, there's a David and Goliath, right? I don't know how David could win against a company like us. I just don't know. Like, there's no way David, I'm going to use just David and Goliath, there's no way David could start a door-to-door team. They just can't. There's no way they could have the buying power we have. There's no way they could afford the technology we can afford. There's no way these guys are trying to mess with us. I just spent $60,000 last month on an attorney. I will spend $2 million because nobody will beat us in court. In fact, they'll like to settle out of court because I've got more money to spend than them. It's the David and Goliath, and I still, unless you know how to throw a slingshot or something and hurt that guy, it's tough. I mean, how does a small guy come? But yet again, it happens all the time, and I think there's a change in, like for example, if I had a son, but he was grown up with a golden spoon. I didn't have any money at all. When you bring up air conditioning in the fan, I always talk, cold air conditioning, because I love cold AC, because we could afford to keep it cold in here in the summers. But if I had a son that didn't grow up with the same wants, and maybe they don't need to, but I'm definitely hungry. And, when it changes, you just watch companies fall apart, slowly diminish and dissolve. And that hungry person rises to the top. But I think there's a change of hands when you pass it on. And that's why you watch great companies fall apart over time, is because the leadership doesn't get passed down. And there's a good book called Built to Last. Yeah. It talks a lot about Jack Welch. But anyway, we've talked about a lot of stuff. I'm going to let you close us out here in a minute. You've read a lot of books. We've always talked about books. What are a few books that you'd recommend to the audience that have helped change your life?
Yeah, I think that probably for me, the most well-rounded business book I've ever read is Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. And it's the business Bible. It's important. Read it a dozen times. Read it. We've been able to exchange with Vern. He's incredible, and he's consulted and just provided value to so many firms and companies here in the Valley, nationally, globally. It's a big brand. Sign up and go to their summits, hire one of their coaches, figure out those business principles. It will change everything for you. So Scaling Up is definitely on the list. When it comes to overall business. 7 Habits, it's a great one, right? Stephen R. Covey, that one comes up a lot. Just read Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I had never read that one.
Oh, yeah, we did that in our book club.
Yeah, that was
here at work.
Thought that was pretty cool. That was good.
So that book is really important because it explains, we tend to focus on our own groups rather than the whole, holistically, and really what it's all about is how did the company do better? All of us would say, I want my department to get this, and not, and we become greedy when you should be looking after the whole. And I think that was really cool. It was a good book.
And then probably lastly, Michael E. Gerber's E-Myth Revisited. E-Myth is great. That's a little more fluffy story, right? Read that one too. But the nuts and bolts, some of the best answers, they're just not really that sexy. But I think what will separate good companies from great companies from incredible companies is the process, right? Is documentation.
Manuals, checklists, standard operating
McDonald's,
procedures.
you want to have your customers and your prospects have the exact same experience every single time. You want them to become addicted to that routine and getting serviced fast. And you can only do that. You take 100 service people or 200 or 300 service people or 100 CSRs, and to have them just go willy-nilly and provide the best customer service they know how, it just doesn't cut it. You have to have systems and processes for how to answer a phone call, end the phone call, qualify leads, show up to an appointment.
It has
everything.
To be written down and inspect what you expect, checks and balances.
Down.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're taking that to another level with the videos, right? And this is what you look like. This is how your uniform needs to be. This is how you approach the door. This is how you do this install, right?
And you got to beat it and beat it and beat it again.
Forever.
Adam used to say to me, you say the same stuff every time, just differently. Why don't we talk about something new? I'm like, because do you realize all the people? All I need is one person this week to get the aha. If one person every meeting gets the aha, we're doing great.
Yep, that 2-minute speech paid for itself. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, and I'm like, look, this, and I try to wave the carrot 9 out of 10 times, and every once in a while I'll pull out the stick, and I don't like to do that, but I'm like, guys, here's what's so great. There's one of two things going to happen very soon. Either you're going to get the opportunity to become an installer versus the technician because you're not as great with people as we thought. Or I'm going to give you the best opportunity in the world to go work for my competitor. Because you can't follow direction. It's very, very simple. And the reason we got a routine is because we want an expected outcome. We want you to stay safe. We want you to drive safe. We want customers to become raving fans. And you guys are important. The one thing I say over the COVID has done to me is I love the staff. We're making lots and lots of money, and I could buy nice things and cater in and get car washes and buy new iPads and buy games like Dunk the Trainer where you throw the softball and they fall in. We're having so much fun here. We went to this hidden room thing. We got the limo bus. We're taking the guys out. Giuseppe will make us something Italian for dinner. And we just do the most... It's fun because it is like a family. And we are like the parents sometimes as owners. And we're like, good job. And it feels good.
Yeah.
So you got those... You got some amazing books. Scaling Up is awesome. How does somebody if they want to reach out to you, Austin? It's Austin Clark. He's a busy guy, but he makes time for people. How would somebody go about reaching out? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Facebook? Is it email? What's the best sources to get a hold of you?
Yeah, call or text me or email me. My cell phone number is 480-254-9730. Would love to talk to you. Love to exchange with you. And then you can email me at aclark, ACLARK, at moxiepestcontrol.com, MOXIE pestcontrol.com. And like Tom, we're an open book. Come down and visit us. Come down and see us. Love to learn about the big things that you're up to and see if there's ways that we could contribute to you in any way.
Maybe what we could talk about is, this is crazy, but I've got A1 here. I've got my vehicle wrap company down the street. I've got the which I'm not really involved in, but the Christmas light business is right next to your pest control company.
Yeah.
Is right next to my buddies, Sean with the electric. It's called For Energy, but he does energy saving, solar stuff like that, and it's all within 2 miles. So if we do want to get a group of people, it'd be kind of what I like about getting people here is everybody's got to be on their toes. We got to make sure it's clean. We got to be top line, and I enjoy it. It's a good thing. It actually sharpens. I like constructive criticism. I like people to say, hey, that's all good and dandy. I'm glad you're impressed. Tell me the bad stuff. One day a guy said, you guys all have different colored shirts. Now we don't. And one day, there's all kinds of stuff I've learned by just, look, tell me what we could do better. And it really does. And when you hear, those people that walk through, they were really excited about this, but you know what they said? Those watermarks, they just look unattractive in the tiles in the ceiling. Like, why don't we get those fixed? And they're walking in from a brand new perspective. They're not in the bubble.
Yep.
And so have people come out to your shop. Say, what can I do better? Have qualified people. Al Levy ripped me a new one when he walked through. He said, I could have stole your whole warehouse with your own forklift. And you wouldn't know about it. What I like to do to end, Austin, and hey, by the way, I really appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
You give the audience something. It could be about acquisitions. It could be about being a better leader. It could be about culture. It could be about giving back to the community. Anything that you want to end with that's motivational, that gives some gold nuggets of what they could do today to get started. Think about when you were a smaller company, when you needed more direction. Just try to speak to their hearts and souls for a little bit, and I'll give you a few minutes to kind of end it for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I'll go with the H&H, not the happy hour, but the humble and hungry. If the problem with knowing everything is you know everything, and then you're stopped. Your progression is stopped, and so I think that it's important to be humble and to be hungry. Develop confidence in yourself. How do you do that? The more confidence you have in yourself and feel good about you and your employees feel about what they're doing, you're going to do great things. And so if you can be humble and hungry, always a student, you've always got to be learning. And then the people that you're working with, make their dreams come true. Because if you'll do that, there is not anything that they won't do for you. They'll run through walls. You can buy someone's back, but you can't buy their brain and their heart. And you want the best parts of them coming to work every single day. You can go and hire anyone you want for $12, $15, $20 an hour, but you want the most capable parts of them coming to work, their brain, their spirit, their heart. You want them to be in this business with you. So humble and hungry, contribute to all of those that you possibly can, to be nice, and you'll probably be all right.
Hey, I want to say one more thing, and I always do this, but there's a study I just read. Russia put it together. It's an old study, but there was 4 studies, A, B, C, D. They worked with athletes. The A group They did 100% focus on physical. Whether that's if you're basketball, they focused on that. The next group, they did 75% physical, 25% mental. The next group, they did 50-50. The next one, they did 25% physical, 75% mental. Which group do you think did the best and won the most?
The one where it was split.
It was the mental. It's the psyche. And yeah, that's true, muscle memory. But a lot of us just need, it's up in here we need to be able to be more confident with ourselves. We need to be able to make eye contact. I just was doing videos with Giuseppe before you came in, and some of the people have a hard time looking into the camera. And I remember my first time. It's like the first time public speaking, and I still get a little jittery. Never in front of the camera now. Now I'm like, but in front of a lot of people, sometimes you get in front of a couple thousand people, and you're like, I remember one day I had every employee come out, and it was like, crap. It was nuts, but cool, man. Well, thank you very much. It's so much fun.
Nice job.
Yeah, you too, brother. Anyway, thanks, guys.